Yeah, the oil market today was actually pretty wild. They had a fast move down and fast move up. And all this was based upon rumors, false stories, which I find interesting. And one of the problems I see with stops is I think they do this just to stop people out of the market too. They get them out of it, they shake them loose, and it's tough to say where to put the stops at or whatever too. Um, But anyway, oil won't usually won't crash that hard. I mean, oil could sometimes go down $5 overnight, then spring back $5 during the day. That's why, my belief is oil is going up now because some things are just obvious what's going on in the Middle East. But this morning it dropped down about 103.75, then it sprung back up to like 105.75. So it made a $2 range right there. That's pretty good for a matter of some hours. And what happened was, first rumor that came out this morning was Britain has decided to cooperate with the United States in a bilateral agreement to release strategic oil reserves. Came from two British sources. Quite interesting, right? In an effort, it was to enable lower fuel prices from which would cause a derailing of economic growth in an election year. Sounds very plausible too, doesn't it? And there's the shrewd games that go on. I think that was a planted story. This is on Thursday, March 15, 2012. Crude oil futures trimmed their losses after a U.S. official said a report that the U.S. would soon release oil from its emergency stockpiles was incorrect. The story was totally bogus. So they moved the market down hard and it popped right back up again. Quite obviously, the real problem that's going on is with Iran and the location, which is close to the Straits of Hormuz. But quite obviously, United Arab Emirates is close by, in Saudi Arabia, Qatar. In other words, they can easily damage a lot of oil fields, all of oil pipelines, oil refineries, and I think when they did the oil pipeline, if it wasn't a test, it's quite obvious what's going to happen to the oil market if Iran even does a slight amount of damage to some of these things in Saudi. It ain't going to take much, right? The oil market's going to explode. So I'm holding in on that oil position. I don't think I want to run stops because something isn't right here. Now, if the damn oil market jumped up $20 inside of a day, there's going to be stops. Immediately there's going to be stops. Yes, because then there's gains. But serious gains, not little gains. But I think Israel is actually, they're very quiet right now. They made a lot of talk back in the end of 2011. And I expected them to attack because I think I know their mentality. They're pretty antsy about Iran getting a nuclear weapon. So I'm not actually going totally by technicals with this oil because I think our Israel is going to attack Iran. I think they're not going to wait. They already stated too many times that the window of opportunity is closing, but they don't have the capability to do it. If Dick Cheney was president, obviously we'd probably be attacking Iran already. Now, if Brzezinski was president, which I know he was never running for office, his policy with Iran is totally different. He wants to use Iran against Russia. Iran against Russia. He wants to put a divide between Iran and Russia. So actually, when you get into all these conspiracy things, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of push and shove, and a lot of people don't agree. So it depends. Nobody really knows the future 110%. It isn't like it's totally laid out. Quite obvious. But if I read Israel right, I think they are freaking out about this a little bit more than people think. And, well, I think they got a reason to freak out about it because, Iran is making themselves. There are some real religious, hardcore fundamentalists running Iran, and they are pretty extreme. So, if they had the power of the United States, quite obviously, we'd already be nuclear crispy fries already. There's no doubt about that, whether they attack nobody or not, because we're infidels. So I'll interject that, but that's really the reality of it. And a lot of people don't realize that. As far as, let me get back to this oil market again. as far as the oil market, as long as it's actually over like 103, it's still bullish. It's still bullish. You know, this 103.50 mark, or 103, 104 is basically, there's a lot of resistance right there. It's touched this point a lot. But what really makes this market bullish is just what's going on in the Middle East. And you know, that one pipeline that was a rumor in Saudi, you know, exploding, that moved this market. That made this spike over here. That made this spike to 110 over there like nothing. You know, if there's a war, I'm not really concerned about Straits of Hormuz. What they're going to knock, how they're going to knock up oil really fast is through knocking out a lot of refineries and pipelines, and you know, that whole area. Iran could do that very easily. And it's just going to make their oil that much worth that much more. So, I mean, if I was Iran, I'd probably do that. But as long as the stuff's over 103, it's very bullish. Even if it's over 100, it's very bullish. You know, technically, but also quite obviously what's going on as far as world events. I noticed the Euro news doesn't seem to knock down oil as much as the metals. Now, as far as silver goes, you know, another thing. Here was another area where it got knocked down fast and it went up fast. So, like, if you're in here, say you got in here and you say, oh yeah, and you're running stops, you didn't get stopped out. Well, you got stopped out over here maybe, and then it went right up. It's kind of hard to say, you know. It's kind of hard to say. For small gains, I don't know. It's a volatile. It's very hard to say what to do with those things. I'm in a short position on silver and gold right now. I think the trend is still downward. I'll bring this chart out a little bit. And, you know, if you look at this a little bit more like this, you know, if you look at this line, it looks like it's downward. Now, this, you know, I was almost thinking to go all the way up to 33.50. Maybe it could. I'm not sure. But you know, the way this looks, it almost looks like it really only get into like the low 33s before something happens and it gets slammed down again. And I'm thinking it's something with the Euro situation again. As far as gold, it becomes a little more obvious on this chart. Gold is a hell of a lot cleaner chart than silver. And, you know, if we just follow this down, this trajectory down, this kind of puts us in the beginning of April for it to hit below 1500, around 1500 gold. Now, in my position, I'm going to start running stops when I see I'm getting near 1600. Or maybe I'm just going to sell some off or whatever. I'm not sure. But you know, the problem is when you sell and you got to get, if you want to get back in a position, you're using on you're going to be stuck in those positions until the funds are totally settled. That's the problem with it. That's why I don't know. I'm probably going to ride this market out. If it goes to 1600, then I'm going to get really nervous. I'm probably going to be dumping some of it. I don't know. I'm not sure. But you know, hopefully this thing gets slammed down like this in a day, real fast. Then I'm getting the hell out of it. That could very well be. And it's probably going to take a couple weeks for it to happen. You know, as far as today, you know, silver was actually down 18 cents. Now it's up 52 cents, probably up a little more. It's up to 58 cents, so it's making a pretty good run. Oil's about even. So actually I'm in a losing position today. But I expect this probably to go up to 33 something. 33.40, 33.30. And something's going to happen to slam it down again. So I might actually get more short on silver if it goes up a little higher, and play it from there. I think something is going to happen. There's a guess, but I feel there is. Something ain't right with this Euro situation. They're not saying enough about. They're making everything look like everything's rosy, and I think something's going to get slammed down.